Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another, to me, really exciting episode of Time Out for Anesthesia. The reason it's really exciting for me is because I've actually never been involved in what we're talking about today. Today, we're going to cover vitals integration. So our system integrates with vitals machines. I won't get too far into it, but back in the day, I used to run support and customer service and things like that. And we didn't have this feature back then. And so I never touched it. So I'm super excited to welcome everybody today to talk about this. First of all, with us today again, John Lutz. Welcome back to the show. How you doing, John?
Hello, everybody. Yes, the sometimes co-hosts of this, I suppose. So as we're going through the onboarding stuff, I'll at least stick around for these for sure. So I guess I'll kind of take off. Let me
go ahead.
Go back into the screen where we're at. So obviously we're going to continue our onboarding series here about just what we do during onboarding and why it's so special for us and all the wonderful things that we do and the wonderful people that we work with. And we'll get to our wonderful guest here in a moment. But back to here, we go to our project plan. At this point, we've again, identified your organization name, your facility names, and we just talked about this area in the last podcast, which was the client info pack. There is a special section of this client info pack that we don't always do, but if the client needs vitals integration, here is a special section here. We're going to go talk about what is important about getting that going fast in this process, and this is the site survey. And for that, we are bringing on the CEO of Neximatics, the company we work with, Bobby Wong. So Bobby, how about you kind of introduce yourself? I'll stop talking here, and you can kind of talk about, I guess, the site survey here that we have in this section of our onboarding and what that matters to the clients.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me to this podcast today. So my name is Bobby Wong. I'm the founder and the president of Neximatics. So at Neximatics, what we offer is a vital sign streaming. So essentially, our device connect to the medical devices in your facilities. And we are able to pull the data out, and then we can stream the data into a electronic health record like the Graphium systems. So in order for us to do that, there's a few key information that we need to have before we can procure the equipment, set up the equipment, and ship them to you. And this is contained in the site survey that we have. So in the site survey, there are 3 areas of information that we need. One, of course, is information about the site, right? The name of the facilities, the location, the shipping addresses, and that sort of stuff, and the contact people if we have questions.
Is that this? Sorry, I haven't brought in this screen yet. This is the site survey we're talking about, right?
Yep, exactly, right. So this page should be fairly straightforward, and we understand, in any facilities, there are different people working together, right? So sometimes maybe the site manager, sometimes it is the biomed, sometimes it's the IT. IT can be in-house and outsourced. And what we want to do here is to get a good sort of a list of contact information so that when we have a question, we know who to talk to, right? So it's gonna help us a lot, and it's gonna save you a lot of time. And also the important thing on this page is like toward at the bottom, there's this like target go live date. We do receive a lot of site survey, every month. And we look at that information with a lot of emphasis because, we want to make sure that we can support our customers. So if you know your go live day, or if you have a rough idea what that will be, please put that in so that we can understand, the urgency of this project versus the other one, and we can prioritize if necessary.
Gotcha.
So if you don't mind, please go to the next page, the network page.
Gotcha.
Now, I didn't really explain what our solution is, but you can think of it as almost like a Internet of Things that's attached to the medical devices, right? So one of the key things that we need to have is to be able to connect to the internet or the network in the facility to go to the internet. And this page will help us understand what is your networking infrastructure inside your hospitals. And we will be able to pre-program our devices to work for your network. So our devices can be they can be on Wi-Fi, they can be on Ethernet. If it is Wi-Fi, we would like to have it on a very robust Wi-Fi, right? I mean, so we don't want to have our device on the guest network. We want our device to be on the corporate network, something that you will monitor for connectivities and issues. We will be able to support all the encryptions on the Wi-Fi. So, if you are doing WPA2, PSK, please specify that. If you're doing WPA2 Enterprise, please specify that. And we can talk about this, when we find out, a particular encryption method that you use for your Wi-Fi. We also support static IP, if this is something that you would like to do. So one thing I want to mention, though, is that a lot of times when the IT team come in and do this site survey, they may think that our devices are medical devices. And sometimes they have the understanding that, all the medical devices have to be on a VLAN and they have to have static IP. That's not true for our devices. Our device can be on DHCP, and we prefer to be on DHCP so that it's easier to support. So just bear in mind that our devices are more like Internet of Things. If you can do DHCP, that's good. If you still want to do static IP, we can support that too.
Gotcha.
And I think that's pretty much all on the networking side. If you don't mind, you can move on to the next page, the room page.
Gotcha. On the networking side, I like the Internet of Things. So if we put in the Alexa on the in the operating room, can we say Alexa start vitals?
Sure. We'll have that in a few years.
We'll put the feature request in.
Oh, maybe we will call John.
Right. I'll work right on that. Right. Sorry, go ahead.
Right. Okay, so we got through the networking side, right? So the next part is we need to know what are the medical devices in the room. And bear in mind that, you got GE, Philips, Mindray, every manufacturer have their own protocol. They all have their own port that we need to use, right? So in this page, we would like to have all the rooms and all the medical devices make and model so that we know how we should program our devices when we ship them out. Now, sometimes I understand that, when you look at a medical device, especially some of the older model, the make and model may not be so apparent, like from the front of it. And this is where we would like to ask for some pictures of your medical devices to, along with the information so that we can figure it out if you do not know what it is. So here are some pictures. For example, like this is a Motara surveyor. This is a single patient monitor, and it is on a ruler. So when we see this picture, we understand that, okay, this is a mobile devices. We will advise you to put a power outlet on the ruler so that everything can be all at once. If you go to a second example, John. So here is a Fabius. And it's good to show this picture here because what we want to see is that we want to have the front and the back of the devices. The reason being is that sometimes there may be some cabling that are using the port that we need to use. So for example, like here on the Draeger Fabius, the COM1 is the port that we want to use and it is available. So we have seen situation where when we see the picture, we see the port that we need to use is being used. And when we see that, we can start to have a dialogue with the biomed and find out what's going on. And so, when we find out what's going on, we can figure out a solution. That way we can make the installation like way easier and more seamless.
Gotcha. Very cool.
Let's see. After the rooms, okay. So this page, this is for the IT team. So if your site has a firewall, or any other security appliance, you might want to pay attention on this page. These are the IP addresses that the Nixie will push data to. The Nixie is our devices that will put in place to pull the data. And I think one key thing that would help you understand is the Nixie or this system that pull the vital sign and push it out, they only do outbound traffic. So we are not exposing any internal IP of your systems. So these three IP are the IP of our servers. And we only use the port 443 for the outbound traffic.
Gotcha. Cool. These are other notes here and what, just pictures of, what examples are used?
Yeah, so, you should, when you receive the site survey, you should go through some of the sample pictures. They are kind of referenced in the previous page. So, we need to source power, right? The transmitter has to get power. So the ideal case is to get the power from the back of the anesthesia machines so that the anesthesia machine, the patient monitor, the Nixie, they can all be together at one, in one piece. Now, if you move away from the OR room, John, can you go back to the previous one?
Oh, sorry, this one?
The second one, yep, that's good, perfect. So if you move away from the OR room, say that you're in the PACU, or this may be the endo suite, you only have one patient monitor, say it is wall mount, right? So, you can put the Nixie on the wall. There will be a cable connecting from the Nixie to the patient monitor, and then there will be, you have to go to power, right? So this will be a typical installation situation for a medical device that is wall mount inside a room. Now, John, can you go to the next page?
Can do. There we go.
Okay, so I kind of mentioned about that, earlier when we were looking at the Motara picture. So sometimes a medical device can be on a wheeler, right? Like this one. And the issue with that is, we don't want to have two things, the patient monitor and the Nixie, to go to the wall for power, right? So in this situation, what we will recommend is that you will install this medical grade power strip onto the pole of the wheeler. After you put that in, you will put the power of the Nixie on it and the power plug of the medical device on it. And then there will just be one cord going to the wall. So that way, there's only one cord, one power cord that you need to manage, and everything will be in one piece.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Yep.
That's great. This is a lot of really good information here, and really a pretty straightforward, workflow about getting the information that you need. So this is wonderful. So we kick off the onboarding, obviously, and they're doing vitals. We send this out there, as soon as we can to their points of contact. We start to get them working on this. And how long does it usually take for people on site to get this done?
Yeah. So if we get good information, the installation part is actually very fast. The reason why it's fast because we pre-program everything beforehand, and we package everything per room. So you're going to get a package that include everything. For OR1, you're going to get a package for OR2. The reason why we do that is we know sometimes in the hospitals, the OR can be very busy, right? I mean, you may not, when you go in there, maybe it's being used, and OR2 is the only room that you can get in, right? So what you do is you pull OR2 package out. It will have the cable for the medical device, you have the Nixie, you have the power, you have the printout with the instructions. And all you need to do is you plug in the power, connect the cable per instructions on the printout. And you can do that in 10, 15 minutes. And what you want to do after you put everything in place is to hook yourself up on a pulse ox to generate some data. Because you can do it on your schedule, right? And at the end of the day, when we go to our place, we can check to see which room got installed and which room got data on that day. So we can sort of track the progress of the installation. So a typical surgery center, say with like, 5 or 6 rooms, you can get done the installation in, 1.5 hours.
Oh, that's great. This all seems really pretty straightforward and simple.
Yeah,
So,
and also services right away. So you know what, you can go in between cases, put the stuff in, and the case that come in, after the installation would have vital sign.
wow.
So Bobby, what would you say? So it sounds super straightforward and fast on the installation piece. Throughout the onboarding, what would you say is the #1 hurdle that you come across most frequently when we're going to do an install? Would it just be the information, getting the correct information, or what?
Usually it is well, I mean, it kind of depends. So the bigger the organization is, usually the information will not come very clean. Part of it may be, you have different people doing things, right? The people who want the vital signs are not the people who fill up the forms, right? So maybe the biomed will be the one filling up the forms. So one thing that I've seen has helped us do is you can actually have this form, like once you fill up the facility page, you can give this form to different people and tell them to fill in the relevant part of it. And then they can send it back to us individually, so separately.
Okay.
And we can correlate all the information together. Yeah, so I mean, once we clean up all the information, like the installation is actually super easy. It's like we just did one that has like 8 rooms, right? Like we just sent the equipment out like last week. They got in. It is a general hospital. So the biomed called me, hey, okay, we are going to do the install today, right? And I just told him, hey, just follow it, follow the printout, do the pulse ox at the end. So by the end of the day, he got all the rooms done.
Nice.
So I think he probably spent maybe at most 2 hours in the different ORs.
Okay. So it sounds like you have a similar story to, I think, what John would say about Graphium users when they're on board, and that is, you're never waiting on us.
Right.
We're always ready to roll. If you can just get the information to us that we need, we're good.
Well, cool. Well, that's great, man. I can't thank you enough again for taking the time to do this.
Yes, thank you so much.
Sure, you're welcome.
And if anybody has any questions, of course, we're always here to help, and so is Bobby. So Bobby and his team, I say, it's not always just Bobby, but so, fantastic. Well, thanks again, everybody. David, anything else I'm missing?
That's it from me. Thank you guys for joining. I hope you enjoyed it. And Bobby, thanks again. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.